Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar. Just to be on the safe side, we did have sort of an interesting situation a few days ago where someone joined the wrong webinar. So just to remind everybody, this webinar is about how do you further engage with the audience during an online presentation. So I hope we have everyone. Brilliant. So we'll try to keep this as informal as possible. Okay, so don't think this is that you're attending a conference. Just be yourself, be free. One of the challenges we'll be facing is to do the bandwidth. Can I request everyone to disable their video, please? And your mic, okay? Please switch off your video and your mic. Okay, because if you have all the videos on, then it's gonna, yes, okay, I think, Ms. Gopika, can you, if you don't mind, can you take video and your mic? Okay. All right. The bottom of your screen. Hello?
I nearly lost you there.
Okay, brilliant. Okay. No problem. Let me repeat. See, this webinar, this discussion is going to be as interesting or as engaging as possible based on how you participate with the presenter. So please be talkative, absolutely fine. And I'm going to guide you on how you can participate, how you can ask questions. In this discussion, in this platform, there are 3 buttons or icons that you need to remember. So one is the participants icon, which you'll see at the bottom of your screen. The second one is chat, and the third one is reactions. Okay. Now, whenever you want to participate, you have a question. Okay. All you have to do is click on the participants icon, and when you click, and at the bottom of that window, you'll find raise hand or raise arm. Okay, so just click on that and immediately we'll know that you have a question that you'd like to ask, you want to share. Okay, perfectly fine. And then we'll let you in. And when we let you in to ask the question, just unmute your mic. Please don't switch on the video because the bandwidth is quite weak these days. So keep only your mic open, ask your question, keep it brief and keep it relevant to the topic that the trainer is sharing. Okay. That's number 1. Okay. The second button is chat. So if you're not comfortable asking a question, okay, if you're not comfortable speaking, let's say you have a very interesting voice like mine. So all you have to do is just type your question, and then we'll read out the question to the trainer. The third button is reactions. Now, please bear in mind that even though you can see the trainer, but the trainer would not be able to see you. So he's most probably looking at a blank screen. So in other terms, it's like he's a little crazy talking to a blank screen. He doesn't know who's on the other side. Just help him out. Click on the reactions button. Whenever you agree with what the presenter is saying, just give him a thumbs up so he knows that you are there and that is not talking to an empty wall. Okay, please help him. And we'll try to make the discussion as interesting as possible. If you find that quickly you're losing the crowd, right? Thank you very much. Enjoy the session. And let me remind, please disable your video and your audio so the trainer, so that everyone can hear what they're saying. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thorough pleasure. Thank you so much. Thorough pleasure to actually being invited by you and to address such a wonderful audience. Before I go any further from here, Malawan, quick question. Can you tell me how many people do we have in the hall at this point in time in terms of how many people do we have in the audience?
Yeah, we have about 50 and we have a few more joining us. I think probably in a few more minutes, we have another 20 or 30 people joining us.
Phenomenal. The reason
sorry, Hari, sorry to jump in. Can I ask everyone to switch off your video, please? Some of the videos are still on, and that would affect the bandwidth. I'm sorry.
No problem. Tell me if I can start, and I'll start.
Hari, go ahead, please. Thank you.
The reason I asked Malvan the question, how many people are there in the audience, is basically the reason is only one. If I go on introducing, get you all to introduce yourselves. In fact, I'll have to wait until the camels come home. That's the only reason I asked that question. We have about 50 in the audience, and it's going to be next to impossible to introduce all of you all to one another and to introduce yourselves to me. So what I'll do is I will begin with a small introduction of mine, and then we'll slip into the program straight away. Now, so just to tell you a little bit, my name is Hariharan, but it's a little hard to get Hariharan for some people who have an accent that is not subcontinental. Predominantly subcontinental people will get the Hariharan easily. If you cannot, very simple, just remember the first 4 alphabets of my name. It is H-A-R-I, Hari, or Harry in more of the European terminologies. You can call me in that way, no problem. That's the first thing. Second, to tell you a little bit about who I am, I have been in the field of training for about 17 years now, and predominantly in the field of financial services. So in my entire work career of 21 years, 17 years have been into hardcore training, learning and development. So designing curriculums, working on programs, helping people on how they can achieve better, improving their potential, searching for talent and helping them sharpen that. That's one. Second, during my entire phase of training, I have had the opportunity to train in 26 countries. So that includes the entire of Middle East, some parts of Southeast Asia, some parts of South Asia, a lot of parts of Africa. And I'm glad that I've worked in some very, very large conglomerates and corporate houses. So my engagement levels with different nationalities has been excellent, starting from Singaporeans to Europeans to subcontinental to Asians to Americans, British, South Americans, Australians. So I've worked with practically about 160 nationalities in my entire career. Over and above that, during this entire journey, there are 2 things I learned, and these will remain with me forever. I was wondering, what are those only 2 things that I learned? Yes, I learned only basically 2 things. And these 2 things are the most important, even relevant today. And I'll tell you what. The first thing, I'm in the field of imparting knowledge, one, and enhancing people in terms of their performance and helping them, coaching them, also mentoring them to achieve more. That's the first one. So for this, I need to learn a lot. I'll have to read a lot. I'll have to assimilate a lot. I'll have to look at different aspects, different spheres wherein I can grab information from. The second is change is always constant. Now, in today's world, we are going through change even now. The answer to change being constant is not about accepting change as constant, but for an individual to go one step further, you need to transform yourself. And that's where the answer to most of the problems lie. So let me ask, even before I begin, what went through your mind when you said, okay, there is this invitation that has come to you and I have to sign up for this? What was going through the back of your mind when you clicked that accept button and thought that, okay, let me attend this program? So I want to understand exactly what was going through your mind at that point in time. What am I going to do is I'm going to capture those thoughts of yours and those responses of yours on screen. So you'll be able to see me putting up your responses on screen. So don't feel shy. You can always speak up. The only thing I would request you to do is, when you are giving us a response, just identify yourself so I know who is saying it, so I can address you by name, and then you can always give your response. Over to you. Any thoughts that you have with regard to what was going through your mind when you signed up for this program? Any thoughts? Any thoughts? Please feel free.
Hi. Okay, Ms. Malavan. See,
yes,
when you wish to share something, please unmute your mic. You have the option to unmute by yourself, so you wouldn't need my assistance. Please unmute and share. Thank you.
Yes, please. Your thoughts. What was going through your mind when you clicked that button for this webinar?
Hi, Hari. My name is Dimple.
Hey, Dimple. Good afternoon. Yes, Dimple, tell me.
Good afternoon. So for me, when I got the link, for me, I was thinking of sort of distractions and multitasking while giving an online presentation. So, you know, you have chats going on the side, you have videos on, you know, sometimes people unmute themselves. So all those distractions while you're giving an online presentation and how sort of, you know, that would be. So I was kind of interested to find out a little more, and that was going through my mind.
All right, brilliant. I got that. Multitasking. Can you see my screen there?
Yes, I can.
Brilliant. Okay.
And how do you plan the interaction with your audience?
Okay, planning interaction.
And how do you leverage your voice?
Okay.
I think these were the couple of things that crossed my mind.
Superb. Brilliant. Anybody else? Anybody else? So we had Dimple give us 3 points. I think we have 50 of us. At least we can fill another 3 more points. At least another 3 more, if not less.
Hi, this is Glenn Ferreira with you.
Hey, Glenn. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Hi. The reason I joined this this program was sometimes I get boring topics. How do I engage my audience to kind of be forthcoming, you know, to kind of engage in that subject?
Okay, so engaging the audience. All right. Anything else, Glenn? Anything else that you would like to put on the screen there?
Right now, only that much.
Brilliant. Okay, so I have Dimple who gave me 3 points. I have Glenn who has given me 1. Anybody else? Anybody
Hello.
else? Yes,
Hello.
ma'am.
I'm Nikita.
Hi, Nikita. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I just wanted, like, when I registered this webinar, I thought there will be like some rules and regulations, like discipline, online discipline for the speaker and the audience both.
Okay.
Like, friends. That thing came into my mind, and that's why I joined.
Okay.
And any easy way of, like, you know, easy method like to be followed for the online teaching or online process, whatever we are doing.
Fantastic. Very nice. So I got that online discipline and techniques. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else?
Hari, it's Dimple again. Can I add something else?
Be sure. Why not?
The necessity of actually having a presentation.
Okay. So when you say necessity of having a presentation, Dimple, can you delve a little deeper and tell me what do you mean by that?
So again, since you're doing an online presentation, depending on whatever topic that is, would you have a PowerPoint or, you know, a presentation that you show to your audience, or is it, does it depend whether it's an interactive session and do you just have a conversation?
Okay, so you're telling me more of visual aids. How should you use a visual aid or not? And if you have to use a visual aid, how should you use it? Is that your question?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll put it as visual aids.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Dimple. Anybody else? I heard 2 voices out of the 50. I still have 48 to go. At least 1 more. 1 more.
Hello, Mr. Hari. This is Harshi from Olive International School.
Hi, Harshi.
Just want to ask you just one thing. I could not properly get you. If I'm correct, like you asked when you registered first, what is the first thought you got? Am I correct?
That is correct, Harshit.
Okay, so the thoughts which shared was like after you register, what comes in your mind? My first thought was like whether I'll be able to register out of all these people, whether I'll be getting a mail, and still until 2 o'clock today, I could not get any response from you people. So I called one of my colleagues. So I was thinking, okay, now my organization, they have told me to register and to go through this, but still I could not get any response. I tried my level best to register. So I called one of my colleagues and I got the link from them, and then I went through that, and then I got, because I thought it will be very interesting. So that was the first thought. Actually, when I started, I saw the email, the first thought was, how will I register, whether they will accept me, whether they will send me an email. So if I'm correct, if that was the question you asked from us, if I'm correct, then that was the first thought that we all should get, whether we can register, whether we'll be on time, whether we'll be in, because most of the webinars, they have limited people. So they'll not be able to go through, and then we'll be like, okay, so we are not being seen, we cannot see the presenter. So that is the most, the first thing that will come into our mind is that. So if I'm correct.
Yes, Harshit, no problem. In fact, for not receiving a response on time, my humble apologies. We should take care that all of this is taken care of the next time you come and register with us. I do not want to leave you with a bad taste, because that's not what we are here for. We will ensure that you do not have a problem like this going forward. Having said that, I have taken a point which says, thank you very much, man. I have taken a point saying interesting. You said you would find this webinar interesting, so you wanted to actually register, and that's why you went ahead and registered. Brilliant. I'm leaving it there. Now, let me just, now I'm sure you'll be able to see my slides. All of you are able to see my slide, right? Super. Yes, now, very, very simple. They're asking for multitasking and distractions, plan your entire presentation, leveraging of voice. It's a very, very niche aspect when presenting. You also had engaging the audience, online discipline, a little bit on techniques, visual aids, and how can this webinar become more interesting. So these are the points that came in from you. Now, even before I go any further, I must tell you that this entire presentation will have basically 5 modules. I'll take you through these 5 modules. Must I confess that these 5 modules are the bare minimum modules that somebody should go through to become a presenter who can present at least to a certain extent in front of a camera. Now, the important point that you need to understand is we should need to remember that it's only a 2-hour session. So I will not be able to give you all the skills, I'll not be able to give you all the knowledge, and I'll not be able to give you every aspect of how to present. That is why what we have done is this entire webinar, whatever you're going to be seeing here, whatever all the 5 modules that we're going to put across to you, is going to be blown up into a larger program. We will come back to you as to how the program is going to be and what are the various tools in it. But I can tell you one thing, that program will be highly engaging, will be extremely high on something known as adult learning principles, will follow the Bloom's taxonomy, because we do something that we learn from. So we first learn and then apply, then come back, relearn if there is a gap, and then apply. So we will look at the learn, apply, learn model. So that is how this entire program is designed. To take you further, now, how many of you all believe, how many of you all out there believe that the present coronavirus and COVID-19 issue has changed the world forever? And we're going to have a new normal once all of this settles down. How many of you all believe this? So I can show a raise of hands. So Malavan will tell me, yes, there are some people, yes, who believe in it. Oh, I can see 4. Brilliant. So there is a sizable amount of people here in in this entire audience who believes that there will be a new normal. Now, does that new normal, do you think, will apply also to presentations, or do you think it will continue like this?
Hari,
Yes,
I think some of them would like to share.
Okay, great. Please go ahead.
Okay.
You can share. You can share your thoughts. I'm more than happy to listen to you.
Violet, would you like to share, please? Violet Joseph.
Violet, you're there? I couldn't hear. I can't hear you.
Rasha Rahman.
I'm here.
Please.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Very clearly, loud and clear.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Please call me Hari.
Hari, good afternoon. So yes, I feel there's a vast difference in the education.
Absolutely.
What we were teaching and what we are doing is completely different. I feel teacher is playing a very important role nowadays. Taking all the initiative where individual and group, whatever activity we are doing, there's a lot of changes in it. So I feel there is a vast change in education system.
Violet, if I could persist with you for another couple of seconds, what is the change, and do you think it's a challenge?
It is a challenge because we are handling parents. We are handling parents also now.
Is that the only challenge, or is there anything to do with?
I feel like as a teacher, I'm handling kids past 15 years. But this is the first time I'm handling more than 100 parents in this year.
So what do the parents come to you with? What are the questions they come to you with? Is it with regard to presentation, or is it with regard to curriculum? Because curriculum, I'll not be the right person to come to. I will not have answers. You're the specialist. But in terms of presentation, I'll be able to give you some cues.
Hari, honestly to say, we get weird things to listen from parents. Sometimes related to curriculum, sometimes related to presentation. Even we do get points from their side, how we can improve.
Great. Now, so that means presentation is a pain point for you, correct?
Yes, yes.
Super. Now, let me tell you all, I'm using Violet's confession as a confession across the group. It is the same for corporates. It's the same for teachers. I'll give you an example of why corporates. Face-to-face communication, presenting in a meeting room where you've got 15, 20 people looks easy because at least you have the people staring at your eyes. Assume, look at what am I doing? I'm sitting in a room completely empty and I'm talking straight to this camera. If somebody looked at me through the window, will think that I'm a fool. Now, these are the challenges that everybody has. And this is the mental shift we need to make. So let me give you a small story to take you there. Now, before we go any further, welcome to the introduction session of presenting online. I must tell you that this module will definitely, as I said, make you a better presenter in an audience, whether it is online or whether it is offline. Now, before we go any further, let me tell you a short story. In 1967, listen to me very carefully. In 1967, there was this one watch brand. It was in the luxury segment, and it owned about 63% of the entire market share of the luxury watch brand. Anybody in this audience who can tell me which watch am I speaking of? Which brand am I talking of? Anybody? You can unmute yourself and give me the answer. It's fine. I cannot throw a chocolate. A chocolate cannot come your way, but definitely a virtual chocolate I will bring. I'll get you. Anyone?
Is it Rolex?
Bang on target, Rolex. Now, what is the story about Rolex? In 1967, Rolex had come out with some path-breaking technology, which they had introduced in the Geneva Watch Convention. So there is a watch exhibition that happens every year in Geneva, and this was the place, or this is the place where different watch companies bring in their technology and showcase it. When they showcased it, it was believed to be path-breaking because it's going to be something absolutely new. Now, the other watch companies also came, saw different technologies and stuff like that. And this particular technology, which Rolex had introduced, got tabled in the board of directors in 1968. Do you know what happened to this project? Any guesses? What would have happened to this project? You can unmute yourself and give me an answer. It's fine. No problem. Any answers? What would have happened to this project? Okay, so I'll give you the answer. It was shelved, left for some cockroaches to lay eggs and for some cobwebs to be built. Now, exactly 15 years later, in 1983, 15 years, in 1983, the market share of Rolex in the luxury segment, which was at 63%, fell to a mere 7%. And you know who ate away their market share? It was three basic companies, three small, tiny companies that became gigantic over the next 15 years. And they were the present day Omega, Rado, and Seiko. And anybody in the audience who can tell me what was this technology that Rolex wanted to introduce but was shelved? Anybody? Any thoughts? Any thoughts? Any thoughts? I'm not able to hear you. So I'll give you the answer. It is the quartz technology, which most of us, I'm sure, are using right now. The watches that we wear with a battery and a cell, that is quartz technology. Now, the answer that we need to keep in mind is Rolex was standing at a threshold of change. However, they refused to transform, they refused transformation at that point in time. Organizations that transformed, keeping the change in mind, became larger corporations. And this is common for everyone. Now, your obvious question to me will be, so Hari, how do I know that I need to change? Or why should I adjust and transform to change? The answer is very simple. If we don't change, we will become obsolete, just like the dinosaurs. Just like the dinosaurs. So it's very important for all of us to understand that not only change is constant, you and me, that is we, have to adopt to change, adapt to change, and transform ourselves so that we not only live in this part of the world, but we also live the new part of the world. And this entire segment of presenting before audience, before people, before warm bodies is going to completely change. And it is very important for us to take that small step to present better in front of an audience. Now, what is that change known as? That change in our parlance, in the learning world, we call it the paradigm. Anybody has heard of the paradigm? Anybody? Paradigm? Anybody? Can I have some voices at least? I've got 50 people there. I can't hear a word.
I've heard of the word paradigm. Are you asking for the meaning of paradigm?
Yes, yes, that's correct.
I would say it's something of a way of doing something, a pattern.
Bang on target.
Is it about a change in the way we look at things, or maybe a change in our approach towards things?
Yes, that is the shift in the paradigm. It's also known as paradigm shift. But what is the meaning of paradigm?
Paradigm is typical example of changing of something, pattern or a model.
Bang on target. Right? Paradigm means belief. When you move from one belief system into another belief system, you have had something known as a paradigm shift. Now, the very simple paradigm shift that is happening right now is you are wanting to come for this webinar to understand how presentations can be made more engaging to an audience who are sitting 3, 4, 5,000 miles away and watching you online. That is the paradigm shift. As rightly put by the lady a little while earlier, she said, I'm having challenges not only facing parents, but I'm also having challenges facing the curriculum and the presentation. That's the paradigm shift. Now, can we say we'll not change? Not possible. This is the new normal. Therefore, that's where I call the paradigm. Any thoughts at this point in time? How is this change going to define our world? Anyone? Anyone? How is this change going to define our world? Anyone?
Maybe the world will be more technological driven.
Okay, anything else? So when you say technologically driven, what do you mean by that? So let me capture some of your responses right here. Okay, what do you mean by that? Yes, so you said technologically driven. So what do you mean by technologically driven?
Means most of the things could be done using computers instead of people.
Okay, anything, can you give me a more, okay, computers, anything more than that? So I will not tax your brain more, so I'll leave it there. You said more of technology. Brilliant.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I say, maybe the world or many different countries may decide to homeschool children, or parents may decide to school their to have homeschool.
Brilliant. But now there is a challenge with this, right? So
can I share something?
Please.
That emotional bond will be missing.
Yes. So you're saying that there is going to be an emotional disconnect. You will have homeschooling.
Definitely.
You will have to use more technology. So can anybody tell me, so where is this technology going?
Mr. Hariharan, this is Serendib.
Yes.
I would just want to chip in something.
Please.
Hear I feel, this is my very personal feeling towards this technology.
Sure.
I think whatever the current scenario is, I believe that this world is going to be completely like a machine, and we will be, I think we'll be stopping making human. Means we will not be able to grow any more human, as there are the new generation. We are dealing with them with this technology, which is not so vast. It is very limited, according to my understanding. Because many, as a person, what we can do to the person who is next to me, we are limited with this technology. We cannot go beyond what this technology is providing us. So I think that, as somebody mentioned, that emotional part, that play a big role to grow a human. Machine can be built through all this technology.
Okay. So you're saying there will be limitations.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else with another view? Where do you think this is going? Where is this technology going to go?
This technology is going to
global digital citizen.
Brilliant one. What do you mean by global digital citizen?
Where everything will be digitalized, like solution, creativity.
So can you give me an example of a digitalized world in terms of the learning platform, in terms of schooling and in presentations? Do you know of anything?
Shall I?
Yes, please.
So for any part of the world, we can reply, we can create, we can suggest, we can give solution from any part of the world. That is the advantage of this digital or globalized citizen under one canopy.
Do you know of any platform that is this way? Do you know of any platform which works this way?
This way also now what we are doing is also the best example.
Digital marketing, they are doing it with that way.
Anything beyond this, where can your mind think? I want you to think wide. I want you to think beyond the box. Because there is no box. Don't think out of the box. Just think beyond the box. There's no box. Think as wild as possible. What could be the next level of learning and engagement?
Artificial intelligence.
I lost you there. Come again, please.
Artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence, but brilliant. Okay, so let me put that AI. Okay.
So
And
can I?
Yes, I also put here deep learning. Okay. Anybody else?
Repeat the question. We want to think again.
My question was, today we are standing at a threshold where we are moving away from physical presentations to what we are doing now. Where do you think this technology is going to go from here? What is the most advanced form of this form of technology?
Physical education will be
Each
less.
one,
Physical activity will be less.
like Google, each one will have their own website. Google is there, Twitter is there, so many are there. So each one will be of one globe like that, I feel.
What? Now,
one unique person with one technology like that. How many billions of humans are there? That those many technology, independent technology may arise.
Okay, that's wishful thinking, nonetheless. But let me say this to you: the next day from here, I want you, especially the teachers in this audience, I want you to do a little bit of reading on this, because this is going to be the way forward. We are already using it in the corporate world when it comes to training people. It's known as AR. So I'll put it here.
Augmented reality.
Oh, yes. And there is one more higher than that. Does anybody know what is that?
Augmentation.
Virtual reality.
Virtual reality.
Yeah.
Somebody said you will have limitations of emotional bond and limitations of not being physically present to the student. In augmented reality and in virtual reality, you can have a hologram of yours being projected just like you standing there and have that presentation happening. It would be just like you there. They will not be able to make out a difference between whether the hologram is actually a hologram or you standing there.
So video always getting switch on.
Now, this is the way forward. So let me tell you something. This is where we need to understand that the world is moving from what it is today to being virtual. It's going to be completely virtual. And I'll give you an example. I was having a discussion with Malavan yesterday in the evening, and I said, Malavan, I was reading this particular article by the WHO, and I heard, I think it was a lady by name Poonam in the audience, who mentioned to Malavan saying, we are not able to go and see our loved ones in our country. I'm going to bring in some dampening news, but may not be the way it is. Apparently, this particular condition is going to continue for another 2 years at least. That means international travel is going to be a big challenge. Now, if international travel is going to be a big challenge, imagine I cannot bring a trainer from another country to you, or we going to another country. It's all going to be stopped. Now, in such a scenario, how do I reach out to those people who need some form of information, who need knowledge that has to be imparted, need help in some form? How do I reach them?
So this virtual classroom, no?
Absolutely, it's going to be virtual.
Virtual classroom.
It'll all be virtual classrooms.
Mm.
And people will be sitting in different other time zones and speaking to you in your time zone.
Mm.
You may have, as rightly put by somebody, artificial intelligence. So it's a pre-recorded video. You can halt it. There is a concept that has been said. You can put it onto a chat box. It will immediately search up the entire system. It will go into that particular domain, pick up the answer and flash it on your screen. And then you can go ahead with your video. That's known as deep learning. Now, all of this is already happening even as I speak. That means the world is changing very quickly. It has become extremely dynamic. That means it's important for us to also adopt and adapt to that change and start becoming better presenters online. This is key, right? So becoming aware of virtual reality and how technology is going to impact us is one of the most important aspects that we would be touching during this entire presentation. However, let's go further. Now, let me ask you all. You all are all teachers. Some of you all are people in the corporate. Let's assume you have been entrusted with giving a presentation to, say, a set audience. You may know the audience, you may not know the audience. Like today, I don't know all of you. Assuming that you know the audience, which is a more comfortable zone to be in. What are those things you would do? What are those things you would do before you get into your presentation? I'm capturing your thoughts.
Prepare well.
What are the things? I'll repeat my question. Hold on. What are the things you would do or you would want to do before you go in for your presentation?
Plan and prepare.
Plan and prepare. So what do you mean by plan and prepare? I need to know more.
Be very, I should know what I'm supposed to present, very clear about it. I should have a clarity about what I'm presenting.
One second, you know what? I have got just 2 hands and 5 fingers and I type a little slowly. Okay, so knowledge of the subject.
Yeah, knowledge of the subject, yeah.
Okay. What else?
Smile and make eye contact with your audience.
Smile and make eye contact. But that is during the program. I'm asking you before the program.
Okay.
Planning, of course, the way you want to take it in. Like, you should have a mind map of how things would go.
So you need to map your course.
Yep.
Okay, what else?
I would rather speak positively to myself first, and then I'll start the program. Before I start, I'll start speaking positively, how to use the things, how to use the tools that I know, and then I will rather start the presentation.
You said something about positively. What is it that you want to do positively?
Positively to talk to my own self first.
So you want to have some inner talk?
Yes. To be positive first, to give the positive vibes to the like the panelists or the people whom I'm seeing virtually. So before the presentation, I would like to talk to myself and prepare myself and take deep breaths. Take deep breaths. That's what we do with the children always. We do the breathing exercise in the morning when we start the virtual classes as teachers. So we would give them also that positive thoughts and vibes, and then we start it. So that is what I would do.
Okay, brilliant.
Thank you.
In fact, there was, in the beginning, Dimple had asked me a question on how to leverage your voice. one of the solutions to leverage voice is actually to practice breathing. But we will look at it more when we do our full course as to what should you do to improve that breathing and how do you improve your voice so that you do not have to scream, but you talk from a way, in a way that you actually are loud, but do not hurt your vocal cords. Now, I've been in the field of speaking for the last, I don't know how many years. I started speaking on stage when I was 4 or rather 3. And today I am 40 or 41. So I've been speaking for about 37 years. In 37 years, I can tell you my voice has not changed. And I speak at least for about 12 hours a day at times. But the voice remains the same. Now, there are ways to do it. There are techniques to do it. And breathing is one of them. So we will look at that as well. Brilliant. What else?
Hari, Anu would like to
have a good set induction, which includes attention grabbers or something that would capture my students' attention.
So when you mean attention grabbers, is there anything, hold on please, the lady who spoke a little while earlier is, I think I heard her name as Anu, is it?
Yes, sir.
Anu, call me Hari.
Yeah.
Anu, just a quick one. Is there any attention grabber that you're using at this point in time?
I usually use anecdotes. I mean, it can be my personal experience. It can be something that I experienced as a child, or probably something that I experienced when I was their age. So they relate to it. So when I speak about, so when I speak about something that I've experienced, my students relate and they want to know more about it. And therefore I can draw them to my chapter, which I want them to learn. So before I could comment on something, they come up with their experience. So half of my work is done there.
Super. So hold on to that thought, Anu, for a little while. I'm going to come on to that. I'm going to build on what you said a little while earlier. Hold on to that thought. That's a brilliant one. I'm going to be spending some time on that. Anybody else?
One more thought that I would like to share. Sorry. Hari, this is Harshi again. I just shared my thought of that breathing and all. One thing that what I'm doing is, personally, I go in front of the mirror, I do all my stuff, and then I look whether I'm looking okay, because whether I'm presentable in front of the presenters. I do that. That is one thing that I personally follow and I do. And then after that, I check with all my technical stuff, whether the speakers and the charger is put on, if I'm using the laptop and all. So before I do these two personal things, the breathing thing and looking at the mirror and looking whether I'm presentable, I comb my hair, do all the lady stuff and all. So that then even the people who will look at me, they should also have, that is the most important attention grabber. I think that when we are doing the virtual, the presenter should be presentable as you are now. I would like to admire with the tie and I would like to appreciate that the way you are presenting, it's very presentable. So thank you so much. I just want to share that thought. I would like, I personally go in front of the mirror and I just look at myself. That is one technique that I do.
Just a quick question, Harshi. By any chance, did you see my slides?
No. How will I see it?
I'm just pulling your leg. I'm just
These are the things that I do by myself in the morning.
Because what you said will definitely come into my next segment. So hold on to that thought. So I've got two people who are holding on to a thought. I have Anu who's holding on to one thought, and I have Harshi who's holding on to a second thought. I will come to these in a while from now.
Yes.
Anything else? Anything else?
Excuse me. Resources. This is Sarika.
Yes, Sarika, please.
Yeah, I think we should also have a plan B in our mind.
Oh, this is an important one.
Yeah, because we are dealing with the technologies, and I think it's very important for us to know the techniques, the security tips and all, and also have a plan B in case the technology is not with us, it's not working. So
brilliant. What to do then? Okay, brilliant. Contingency, very nice. Like for example, now I have about 3 devices that are connected and I know exactly what's happening. If one fails, I have another to replace it. So brilliant. That's a very nice point. Brilliant. What else?
Thank you.
Anything else?
The practice should be planned according to the age. Yeah, what age I am dealing with. So whatever technique I'll be using, So I'll be making some changes to get the result, what I'm expecting while presenting. So the age factor is there. I cannot use the same technique way of teaching to the age which is elder or the smaller. So I will do certain changes in it.
Brilliant. So you're saying some information about your audience. You need to know your audience before you start presenting. Very nice point. What else? What else?
Hi, Hari. I am Rajni.
Hi, Rajni. Please go ahead.
I would like to add that we should concentrate more on the core message. That is, when I am doing my presentation, I should see that the more focus is on the message to be delivered.
Okay. Okay.
And
Anything else?
Hi, Hari, it's Poonam. We should keep our resources ready. So I should know what I'm going to present. Am I going to use a video or maybe a PPT presentation, or maybe I would require to show something on the screen, or maybe some objects which I might want to show to the students in order to grab their attention. Yeah.
Fantastic. Anything else? Anything else?
Something that I would do is rehearse my presentation before I present.
Practice. Very nice. Anything else?
I
feel
this is Gopika. Yes, prepare. I mean, plan activities. So that
I didn't get your name. I didn't get your name.
Gopika. Gopika.
Yeah, Gopika. Please go ahead.
Plan activities so that the audience doesn't get bored.
Okay, so you want to engage the audience. So you're already planning at the activities. Okay.
Yes.
Brilliant. Very nice. Anything else?
Hi, Hari. This is again Rajni.
Yes, Rajni.
We should focus more on time management because as all of us know that, yes, time management.
We're missing out on one. And I use that big time. And I'm sure teachers also.
Audience questions or interacting with the audience.
Now, when you're interacting with an audience and you know that something is coming up, how do you keep pace with that thing that is going to come up? How do you know that this is what I need to say next and do not get lost? Sometimes in the flow of the adrenaline rush, we actually move and just get a little swayed away, and then you realize we have actually transgressed a little, and then you have to bring it back. So how do you know that you've transgressed?
I think having knowledge on the topic is essential.
Anything else?
I keep my notes ready.
I guess.
Absolutely right. So
I write my notes. Yeah.
So what do I call that? I call it
the
cheat sheet.
Okay. Yeah, cheat sheets of cue cards.
I call it the cheat sheet or the cue card. That'll tell me exactly, you know what, this is where I need to go next. Now, so let me introduce you. So we see on the slide, we said knowledge of the subject, map the course, think positive, breathe, attention grabbers, something like anecdotes, contingency plan. We need to have the knowledge of the audience. We need to make sure what are the messages we're going to give out, what are the resources we are using. Practice, practice, and practice. Very nice. Activities that we are keeping in mind that we want to introduce, and the learning from the activity. We cannot have an activity just being placed there, else it becomes something like what we see in Indian movies, which we call as item numbers, just placed there for no reason. Then time management, and last but not the least, a cheat sheet. We usually break this entire concept into something known as, or rather we call it something known as, in my terminology, preparation. This is one of the most important aspects before you get into a program. Because you plan your work and work your plan. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Therefore, some of the things are mandatory. For example, knowing exactly what you're going to present. So if I go back to the previous slide, knowing exactly what you're going to present is actually knowing the subject. your slides, your subject matter, your resources, your message. Now, this is part of your presentation and your material to present. Once you have that, what do you do then? Then you have the setup stage, have everything put in place. Then you get into getting into the groove, as you rightly said, breathing, thinking positive. Then we get into analyzing what is the material we need to use during the program, set it all up. For example, I know I have my laptop here, I know I have my phone there, I know I have my slide changer, which I keep it right here. You need to set that up. And last but not the least, cheat sheets. However, these are only headings. The question is, how do you get into ensuring that this is all put in place? Because virtual sessions, as you rightly said, are different from face-to-face sessions. Now, I am moving comfortably in a space and I'm able to use slides, I'm able to see you, I'm able to talk to you. All of this because I have about 10 years of experience in this sphere. I have done these type of presentations for 10 years. Now, this needs a certain amount of preparation. So we will get into that when we go into our main program. Good. So that's all about presentation. So as I said, presentation is key. And now I'll go to what Anu said. Anu, you made a brilliant point there on anecdotes. Is it only anecdotes that sell? Is it only anecdotes that keep your audience with you? Or is there something else?
There are several strategies that we can use. As Ms. Poonam pointed out, we can use videos if we want. With little children, it can be stories. There are so many different techniques as per the age of the child or the level of the audience. You can switch to whichever whichever technique you want.
Super. So this is a question going to all, and I hope you all heard what Miss Anu said. I hope you all heard it, and she gave a very, very strong message there, and that is gospel. Now, when I began the program, I spoke about the watch company. You remember? All of you all remember it? Yes, you can show a thumbs up, so I know then it is being done. Okay. Now, why do you think I told you that watch story? What is the message?
We need to change with the world.
Bang on target. Now, do you all remember the story?
Yes.
Or do you remember the message?
The message.
Bang on target. Now, any age group, whether it is 3 years old or whether it is 90 years old, stories sell. So in your presentation, how do you knit stories? We will help you with that too. What is the story that you need to use where is absolutely important. Otherwise, that story will look, as I've said, like an item number of a Hindi Bollywood movie.
If you want me to go out, I'll go out. I'll go in the other room with you. Okay?
Right? So it's absolutely important to have stories in your preparation. Good. Now, once you have prepared, once you are set for your presentation, this is mental preparation and physical preparation. Now let's get into what Harshi said. Harshi, you said something about, breathing was one. There was one more thing that you said.
Looking at the mirror?
Looking at the mirror. Yes. Looking at the mirror is one. And there was one more thing that you said.
The breathing was one, and before I present, and technical, I said 3 things. One thing was looking at the mirror before I present it, because the presentation should be like presentable.
Okay. Now, presenter should be presentable. Hold on to that thought. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you see on your screen?
It's a dinner table, very presentable. Dinner or lunch or
crockeries, dinner set and cutleries.
Cutlery set.
Dinner.
It can be lunch. It can be dinner because there's a soup.
So if I'm able to, if I'm summing it up in one word, it is a perfectly arranged or a fixed table for a meal. And it seems like it's going to be a 3 or a 4 course meal. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Now, why is this arrangement so important?
Station.
Because it's an eye catcher.
It's an eye catcher. Anything else?
It is presentable. When you see it, it's...
Hang on target. It is presentable. Now, when I say presentable, what are those things that we need to keep in mind when you say presentable? Let me put those thoughts on the screen. What do you think comes in presentable?
It's the first impression.
I didn't get that.
The first impression that people have.
So how do you cast that first impression? Because this is the first impression is the last impression. You never get a second chance to cast your first impression. So how do you cast that first impression? So one of the things that Harshi said was getting dressed for the occasion. Am I right, Harshi?
Yes.
Okay. So dress.
Your
Anything else?
Yes.
Appearance.
Appearance. Actually, it's not the way you the way you are going to present yourself in front of the others.
Okay. Anything else?
Body language, posture.
Body language. Posture. What else?
Voice modulation.
Voice modulation.
Background.
Background. Okay. What else?
Confidence. Confidence.
Confidence. What else?
Quality of your presentation.
Quality of the presentation. Okay.
I think more than the body, they can see our face. So facial expressions are more important.
So part of body language?
Screen. Yes, part of the body language.
Put it on the body language. What else? What else?
The visual
someone shared creativity.
Creativity.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it Malavan who said that?
No, no, I'm not that intelligent. Don't worry. It's from Violet Joseph.
Ah, okay. Creativity. Okay. What else? Anything else? Now, ladies and gentlemen, a quick question to you. Let's assume I darken this entire room. I put off the lights that are focusing on me. I shut the curtain. I put off the lamps, everything, and talk to you completely from a dark room. What will happen then? What will happen then? I can't hear.
There's no presentation.
There is no presentation, anything else. But you can see the slides. What more do you want?
You lose interest.
You lose interest, anything else?
You lose focus.
There is
You
no
lose
visual
focus.
presentation.
Anything else? I'm looking for one answer. That's why I'm probing harder.
The eye contact will be broken.
Eye contact, even otherwise I'm looking at a camera now. I don't know whether you're looking at me, but I'm looking at you all. Okay, I know you might not know this, but there is this very famous psychologist, you can Google search, known as Albert Mehrabian, Dr. Albert Mehrabian. Now, Dr. Albert Mehrabian had presented a study on communication some years ago. In fact, in the early 70s. Today, it is believed that it is gospel because it is tried and tested, and humanity is apparently following the same course and it's not being rewritten. Albert Mehrabian in his thesis came out and said that if communication was happening 100%, 7% is the words that one speaks. The words that I speak is only 7% of the communication. 38% is the way I say those words. And 55% is all about how the person looks when he or she is communicating that message. The 7-38-55 principle is the visual, vocal, and verbal principle. It is believed that if you cannot see somebody, even before the presentation has started, you have lost 55% of a chance to grab their attention. 55% chance of grabbing the attention is lost the moment you cannot see someone. We all learn by seeing. Believe it or not, we all learn more by seeing. Children see and do. Adults see and learn. Therefore, seeing is a very strong part. It's a very strong V in the communication. Therefore, it is absolutely important to be dressed to that occasion, to look absolutely prim and proper when you're presenting in front of an audience. Now, I have people who present in front of an audience who dress just like me. However, I'll tell you what happens. If you look at me now, you cannot see me waist below, correct? You cannot see me waist below. Yes or no? Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now what people do, waist below, they will wear shorts and stand bare feet or with slippers. Now, every time you do this, remember what's happening is, and this is where I'd like to bring in Harshi. Harshi, you said something. You would look in the mirror and do what?
I look at the mirror. How do I look like before I
Bang
go
on
for
target. Absolutely. Now, how many of you all have seen Tony Robbins? Have ever attended a session by Tony Robbins? How many? Can I see some hands go up? Malavan, I think you can tell me if any hands are going up. How many of you all have seen Tony Robbins performing? Maybe live, maybe on video, it's fine.
You can press the reactions button at the bottom and give a thumbs up. Thank you.
I'm sure. Any responses, Malavan?
No, man, we have not received. I think that's a good business opportunity now.
Okay, so now let me tell you something. Tony Robbins, also known as Anthony Robbins, is one of the world's most preferred presenters when it comes to motivational speeches and when it comes to talking to people in mass public. He was here in Dubai about 3 or 4 months ago. And I had a chance to see the gentleman. And I've seen him repeatedly. I've seen him in fact, I've seen him over the last 10 years. I must tell you something about this man. If you Google search this gentleman, you will see the reviews on him. Then there would be hardly anybody who would say that his sessions are boring. They are a dampener. They will put you to sleep. Hardly anyone would say this to you. And do you know why? The answer to that is, before a session begins, Tony Robbins would be dressed in the occasion or the dress that he needs to wear, and you won't believe it, he will have an adrenaline rush so that he can raise his energy level. And what does he do? It is believed that he might do at times 20 push-ups. He would do a few jumping jacks. It's also believed that he would dance to a particular tune and a number and then come onto the stage. And that will give that energy. Now, all of this is building up to that presentation that you want to give. So, dressing, looking at yourself in the mirror, looking good, looking prim and proper. Need not be that you are the most handsome or the most beautiful woman in the whole of mankind. You don't have to be beautiful or handsome. All you need to do is look presentable. Be in the dress that you need to be in. That is it. You have 155% of your audience. Now, next important aspect was, I told you, if we make this entire room dark and I start presenting, what will happen? The first thing that will happen is all of you all will go to sleep. Now, I had a doubt that some of us are sleeping. You know why? I have deliberately made a spelling mistake somewhere on one of the slides while typing. Did anybody notice that?
Message.
Yeah, message.
Malavan, I have your people not sleeping even after it is an afternoon.
I noticed it. I noticed it because I was the one who said, and I thought that why didn't you change till now? Till the end, it was going on.
But actually, I thought it was my screen. I tried to change it from here. Then I realized, sorry, it's not my screen.
Hari, many of them are teachers. They are supposed to correct all those errors. They would be the first to pick up the mistake.
I wanted to say it while you were typing it, but then, you know, after 2 o'clock, I come off my teacher mode.
So, Malavan, I have all of them awake.
Okay.
You don't know, some of them have skipped their lunch also to attend the training.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad. I hope I'm living up to the expectation that has been set by Malavan.
Yes, definitely, Hari. You are.
Hari sir, can I interrupt your class, please?
Please.
I want to take you back to
Yes.
dress code.
Yes.
Yeah, and looking fantastic when you are presenting something.
Yes.
So I might appear looking so good, looking so beautiful, looking so nice, but my presentation is not of quality. Do you think that will nullify everything that I have done?
Okay. So I must tell you this. There are some very, very handsome looking people who, when they open their mouth, look disastrous. However, that first impression, they will go and tell the person, you know what? You were dressed for the occasion. You have it there. However, just work on a few things and you would be better. But if you are not looking good and you have great knowledge, it is hard to pull off. And I'll give you a very good example. The best example for this particular aspect is the Indian past or the late President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who used to be absolutely simply dressed, but had great knowledge. It took years for him to come up to the level to be recognized by the whole world. At the same time, we have the presidents and prime ministers of different countries who do not speak sense at times, but are well-dressed and people listen to them. That is the best answer. I cannot give you a better answer than that.
One more?
Yes.
One more? Shall I?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Abraham Lincoln, for the previous example.
Yes.
Tall and lanky man, Abraham Lincoln.
Fine. You're right. So these are some of the things that you need to keep in mind. So the important thing that we need to keep in mind, as you rightly said, preparation is that knowledge. You said, in fact, I go back to what you all said, knowledge on the subject is key. So that's the first tick in the box. The second tick in the box is the etiquette. The second tick in the box is the etiquette. And this is the second most important thing. So we will discuss about etiquettes in detail during our entire full-blown presentation. And we'll spend a lot of time on this aspect because 55%, as I said, is majorly contributing to communication. Good. So now that we are done with etiquette, what do you think comes next? What do you think comes next? What do you think will come next?
Communication, your language, the way you speak.
So that will be a part of body language and etiquette. So we'll cover that in etiquettes and body language. Anything else?
Okay.
Anything else? So you have your preparation done. You have your etiquettes in place, your body language, your dressing, and all of that is done. What's the next one, which is the most important which you need to take? Yes?
The language that one uses?
It's already a part of the etiquette.
Okay.
Eye contact. Eye contact and posture.
Eye contact is one of them. Is just one of them.
Professional, addressing professionally.
That's a part of etiquettes.
Hari, I have some responses on the chat.
Yes, please.
Divya suggested listening and nodding.
Okay, that's a part of etiquette.
Yes, and another, I'm unable to pronounce the name, Chow. I think that's the correct pronunciation.
Yes.
The person has said, know the platform you're going to use.
Oh, yes. Platform that
Yes,
you are
and
going to use.
Someone else, Divya has shared, that's what we commonly use, using magical words like you and I use regularly.
No, God.
Okay. The platform
Hari, sorry, before we proceed, see, can you enable your mic only when you're sharing? If you're not sharing, please disable your mic because there's a lot of background noise. Thank you.
Okay.
Part of etiquettes.
We'll touch base on that. Now,
Behavior comes.
Behavior?
Yes, after etiquette comes the behavior.
It's a part of etiquettes is behavior as well, your behavior. Anything else beyond that? So I've written platform that you're going to use. What else do you need to know?
The topic we are going to converse with the person. We must be sure of what we are going to talk to the person.
It's a part of preparation.
Preparation.
That's a part of preparation.
I think you should have to know the kind of people that you're going to address. The audience.
Super.
Audience, yes.
Now, why do you think audience is so important? Is that Hershey by any chance?
No, this is Lucy's. Lucy.
Yes, Lucy, please tell me. I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
We must know to whom you are speaking. So audience is very important, right?
What is the reason the audience is important? Forget the preparation aspect. Why do you think you need to know whose audience?
The preparation, what we made is to the particular audience. Otherwise, it is of no use to prepare anything.
I understand. That is in terms of preparation for the entire module that you're going to present.
Okay.
When I say in terms of audience, I mean in terms of usage of the platform. You see this platform in use? So let me say this platform.
We need audience to interact each other. We need audience to interact.
Okay. What else?
This is Arshi. Audience means like you should know which platform you're going to, as someone mentioned about the platforms we are going to use, you should be technical savvy and you should know how to deliver.
Madam, hold. I have to type. I've got only 2 hands and 10 fingers, out of which I don't use all of them to type. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. What did you say?
I said like someone mentioned about platforms, so I just want to add on it. Like you should know, you should be technically savvy to know to deliver, to use which language and to know that the audience, how they will, with what are the things that you are going to deliver should be, the audience should be able to understand. So
very nice. So you should know what are you going to use and how to use it. Brilliant. What else? What else?
Interest.
interests. Can you build a little on that interest?
I mean, like if you're attending a session, that you should be interested in sitting in that. Otherwise, it's of. I mean, if you think it will be useful to you, so build up the interest for that. Otherwise, it's of no point in sitting for any sessions.
Okay. So building interest. So that would mean. But do you mean by interest by keeping the audience attentive? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay. I will put that in the next. In fact, hold on to that thought. Don't go. I didn't get your name, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, let me. Okay.
My name is Gopika.
Yeah, Gopika, hold on to that point. I'm going to come back to you, Gopika. Yes, I heard another one.
Okay, this is Lucy.
Yeah, Lucy.
Yeah, on audience, I think I should know the level of my language, my communication, like the words I'm going to use for the audience.
Lucy, that I humbly submit to you that would be a part of the preparation.
Okay, okay.
I've moved a little beyond preparation.
Beyond preparation, shall I add something?
Yes, ma'am.
We must know what to give to the audience. We must know what to give to the audience.
That's a part of preparation.
That is again a part of preparation.
So let me give you the answer. Now that
Hari, I'm Rajni. Yes. What about body language?
Body language would be a part of etiquettes.
Okay.
I would park it under etiquettes. Nonetheless, point taken, no doubt. Now, what I'm coming to is this.
Is it knowledge of the... Oh.
This is one of the most dangerous animals you're facing on a daily basis. Tell me yes or no. This animal is just like the spouse. When you need them to do something, they would exactly do the opposite. As I usually say, if something has to go wrong, only that thing will go wrong. That's Murphy's laws. And technology is one thing that will fail when you do not want it to fail. Correct me if I've gone wrong anywhere during this.
Perfect.
So, when you are using technology, it is very important to keep a few aspects in mind. I'll tell you, recently I was attending a convention which was being aired across the globe, but was being presented from Bengaluru in India. We were about 400 or 450 people on the platform. Now, and it is a formal event wherein you've got people coming and speaking about motivation and stuff like that. Somebody gets into the platform. And listen to me very carefully. Somebody gets into the platform and posts something that is absolutely condescending. Very, very compromising. Now, why did that happen? That's because the platform was open to be hacked. Now, imagine you're presenting to children of, say, class 7 or 8 who are standing at the threshold of moving into adulthood and that cusp between adulthood and adolescence. And you have something like that happens. What would be the confidence level of the teacher to present over in that same class or come back and present to that same audience the next day? Imagine somebody who's in the corporate world is presenting to their line managers, having a review meeting, and you are using a particular platform, and something like this were to happen. What would be the confidence level you will have to get back on that platform and present again? So it's very important, and I'm saying again, it's very important for us to know the platform we are using. Not only the platform we are using, but we also need to know the security aspects about that platform. what can go wrong with that platform. For example, yesterday Malavan and I were looking to speak on Zoom in the morning. So Malavan connected, I connected. We spoke for about 10 minutes and Malavan wanted to see something. So I said, Malavan, I'll just log off and log in again. And you won't believe it. When I logged in again, Malavan just couldn't see me. He could not see me at all. And whatever I tell Malavan doesn't go across. Whatever he tells me doesn't come across to me. Now today it was reported that the application that we're using today, Zoom, was going through a problem yesterday in some parts of the world. So these are some issues that will be there with technology. So security concerns is a very, very important aspect that you need to take in mind and keep in mind. Second, you all said audience. So let me give you an example. And this is not only to corporates, and this is in fact specifically to corporates and sometimes to schools as well. Let's say you are having a big town hall wherein you have 400 or 500 people who are coming into this platform. Now, you want to take out a small set of them, maybe 20 or 30 of them, during that meeting into another room wherein you have got a briefing for these 20 or 30 which is separate. Is there a provision in the platform to do this? You need to find out that. Therefore, knowing your audience is very, very important. And last and not the least, and this is something that you need to keep in mind with technology. At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to me, at this point in time, you have more than a dozen platforms on which you can have meetings like these. If you choose the wrong platform, I must tell you, your presentation will be a disaster. It will collapse even before you start. There are some platforms which are brilliant, very, very light on the internet in terms of the bandwidth. However, they do not have a mute button. So everybody can talk. There are some platforms wherein you cannot create a meeting within a meeting. There are some platforms which will allow you to create a meeting within a meeting. So you need to know your audience well, and you need to know your platform well. And encapsulating all of this is your security. Because at this point in time, I must tell you, people are not behind. I'm saying again, people are not behind money. They are behind data. They are behind information. They are behind privacy. They want to infringe into this. So it is very, very important that you safeguard not only yourself, but also the audience who is there with you. Am I making sense? Am I making sense? If I'm making sense, I would like to see a thumbs up there. Malavan, you can tell me if you're getting some thumbs ups.
That is why Zoom is doing better.
I would not want to comment on that, ma'am, because this is not a platform wherein I'm going to be bashing down anybody or raising anybody up. That's not what it is. But yes, we will look at this in detail, more detail in our blown up program. So what are the different platforms? What should you keep in mind when you're taking up a platform? How do you design some of these aspects? So how do you have a meeting within a meeting? All of this we will look at when we look at platforms. Any questions up to here? Any questions up to here? I'm going to be marking it here.
For
Any questions up to here?
For example, we are the audience to you, right?
Yes. Yes.
And in what way you are protecting us? In what way you are safeguarding us?
Okay, so let me give you this.
Yeah.
When you logged in, did it ask you for a password?
Yeah, yeah.
It also said that this call is going to be encrypted.
Yeah.
And also, Malavan would have locked this meeting and nobody can get in who does not have the details.
Okay.
That's how we protect it. Because it's not about
now I could say, now I could thumb up.
Sir, can I have one question?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Yeah, this is Neelam. My question is, sir, that we are very much, comfortable with our technology. We have settled everything with our part, okay? But the problem is with the audience, especially when we are dealing with parents. So the question is how to deal with that type of people, means how to teach them technology. The question is this, sir.
Madam, Neelam, I must tell you this. So we need to understand this, and I'm no proponent of anything, but I can tell you this out of my own experience, that over a period of time, people will learn. It is just like how we were used to the mobile phone. When the mobile phone came in first, people had an averse attitude towards it. But today, everybody has a mobile. I must tell you this. When you have something that is disruptive, I'm using the word very selectively, the word is disruptive. When anything disruptive comes in this world, it will take a little bit of time for it to be accepted. Over a period of time, all of us will be on the same platform. All of us will be on the same, will sing the same song, will be on the same tune. But we have to be a little patient with that. We have to be patient. We cannot expect miracles to happen overnight, and there is no silver bullet to this. I would be wrong if I gave you false hope saying that, you know what, tomorrow people will be using technology better. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen tomorrow. No chance. It will take time. And you have to be patient. I hope I've answered your question. Any other questions in terms of technology? Any other questions in terms of technology? So I can put it up here. Any other questions in terms of technology? Malawan, anything that's coming to you on chats?
Someone has mentioned patience.
Patience.
One more.
Yes.
For as a teacher, students are our audience. So
Correct.
I would like to get a suggestion from you. In what way we know something, but from your side, I wish to know in what way we are protecting them.
Okay, we need to understand this as very, very key, and this is something which is very sensitive. So children are subject to the internet more than before at this point in time. Screen time, I'm sure for children, which was here, has gone up here. Now, there are 3-4 things that are going to play in this entire gamut of events. The first thing being, of course, in terms of the camera usage. Now, you cannot control it because children are going to be using their iPads and phones even when they're not talking to you. But when you are there in a call, when you are conducting a class, when you are conducting a session, you need to know how does your application give you security in terms of not being hacked, in terms of not being able to take still photographs when the video is on. You should be able to understand how can I ensure whoever is coming in, who this person is not actually impersonated anybody else's identity. Now, all of this is something that you will have to work at the back end, and we will help you with this.
Yeah,
we shall help you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Hari, Catherine has shared.
Yes.
This is what she has typed. We read from a newspaper, some pictures are popping out during Zoom meetings. So what protection you can give while conducting?
Okay. Now, as I said, virtual meetings can be hacked on different other platforms. That's why I said we will discuss platforms in detail. And this is just a 2-hour session where I'll not be able to discuss all the platforms with you. But in the entire session, when we have the full-blown session, we will discuss platforms in detail. We will get into every aspect of it to understand what are the security threats, and if any, how can we stop them from getting in. This is something we will do. And you are right, There are images of pictures that have appeared in the newspaper of Zoom meetings. In fact, apparently, the British Parliament, when Boris Johnson was conducting his meeting, Zoom had got hacked, and that was the first complaint on Zoom. But after that, Zoom has got encrypted and they've got passwords and stuff like that that have come. But there are many other platforms, even today, that are not secure. So we need to know which are they. So we will spend time on that in the main session. Yes. Any other questions? Malavan, anything else that is there on your screen there?
Hey, no, man.
Brilliant. Okay.
I think you left them very confused with the technology.
Yes. And I must tell you that it is confusing. It is confusing. Not only confusing, but it is also very, very corrupting. It is dangerous. So it is very important for us to delve deeper, dwell on it for some time, understand how we're going to use it, and then put it to use. As I said, this 2-hour session is too little of a time for me to spend on an entire or on technology, because technology has got a huge loads to offer. Right? Good. Now I go back to, I think it was one of the ladies in the audience told me that it was something to do with engagement with our audience. Was it somebody who said? I think it was Anu, right?
Yes, sir.
I can't remember.
Yes, Hari. Yes, Hari.
Brilliant. Now, can you spend some time on that? Because now that you're on technology, one of the biggest aspects, as I told you, is not being able to see the person in front of you. So you don't know the reactions. So you do not know how the person is receiving your communication. So what is it about engagement that you have in your mind? Please tell me. I'll capture it here.
Yeah, like you, how you were asking us question. That is the basic source. We have to make them reply to our question. That is the first intact.
Okay,
right?
question. What else?
How
Anything
you are
else?
how you are trying to connect us with you in the same way by asking various questions using various methodologies. So we can just be in.
Okay, anything else? Anju, Anu, you had a thought. Anu, if I could come back to you, what did you mean by engagement?
Basically, I just wanted to say that I wanted to see whether it's as effective as a classroom teaching setup. If I am taking lessons at home with students at their respective homes, is it going to be as effective? So am I able to deliver the same way as I used to in my class?
Okay, so let me tell you something. So this is where I'll come to engagement. Keeping your audience. Yes, ma'am.
You are telling so many things. Okay, fine. Engagement. For that, whatever I just know, I would like to share that. Another way of engaging the students is making them think. Make the students think and then reply, so they will be engaged. Am I right in that way?
See, ma'am, see, you're getting into the specifics of techniques. I'm not looking at specifics of techniques. These are more of presentation techniques of asking questions, putting across a story or putting across an anecdote and getting their buy-in. These are all techniques of presentation. When I mean engagement, now for you all, it is very specific to children who are in class. But for the corporate, because I've got people from the corporate as well, how do I keep the audience engaged in a training program? Only questioning?
So, I think so. The presenter should have a bit of humor sense. So,
sense of humor, okay.
Yeah, kind of humor sense. But then when he speaks, the audience are always kept intact if he could convey it in that way.
Sense of humor. Anything else?
Another way you can keep your audience engaged is by telling them something new, something they have not heard, some new idea.
Okay.
Another way of engaging is sharing their own experience. Make them to share their experience.
Okay.
Jinx, Meena ma'am, I was about to say the same thing.
Oh yeah, hi.
Anything else? Anything else?
Make them use
Keep them in curiosity.
Make them use some technology. Make them use some technology to reply to us.
Oh yes, use of technology. So let me
they'll be happy. They'll be happy that they are doing something when they are trying to reply to us.
Super.
Instead of simply verbally. They don't want to do anything verbal.
Some of the best ways of using technology to do this is you can put up a question and have answers coming in through a poll. You can have a chat box. What is happening now? You can have a role play. You can even have a role play between two screens.
Yeah.
You can even have possibly some whiteboard and you can type stuff just like what I'm doing now. I'm trying to get you to look at your screen. So look at the screen so that I'm typing stuff live.
We are doing. Still some students will be looking at that without any animation. Will be sometimes that, what are we conveying? What do they understand? Sometimes some students are sitting with attitude. It is there. With higher class, students sit with attitude. In this virtual class purpose particularly. They have totally changed. They have totally changed. They were not like that when they were in the class.
Ma'am, see, I'll be honest with you.
That is a different issue. I'm just telling you.
I'm not an expert in that field.
Fine. Hariharan, yes.
So I can say one thing, that it will be I'm sure you're putting your best effort and in the endeavor to ensure that you are having a great amount of engagement with your audience. That's the best I can only comment on.
Yeah, fine. We know.
Great. All right. So engagement.
Hari, we have another suggestion.
Yes.
Jinsi has mentioned conduct games.
Yes, gamification. Gamification. That's a very, very nice one. In fact, augmented reality and virtual reality has got games wherein you can actually play with one another. Yes.
So, encouraging students to make presentations. That's what I did today and it worked very well.
Let them present.
Yes.
So that is involvement.
So actually all these things so far we are following in the classroom. So far the topics are all followed actually. Still we are not successful.
Don't worry. It will come through. Patience. I told you patience. You need to be patient.
That is yes.
I told you patience. Okay, good. So please remember this. Engagement is very important. And you have to know your technology well to understand what are the tools you have for engagement. If you know that you have an audience who is a little naughty, who is a little fidgetive. Now, for example, when you're presenting in a corporate, I know that people are listening to, let us say, a training program on process or risk or product. They'll get fed up after some time. So how do I keep them engaged? Ensure that I have a quiz or a question that comes out, run a poll on them. Things like that we can always look at. So we will do that. We will try and incorporate it in our program. In fact, when the full-blown program comes, as I'm saying, we will look at these techniques as well. All right. Now, this is where it becomes important. Now, I want to ask the teachers here, and I'm opening the screen again. So all the audience, not only the teachers, the entire audience, what is the difference between knowledge and wisdom? What is the difference between knowledge and wisdom? Anybody?
Shall I?
Yes, please.
Knowledge is what we gain from the text. Wisdom we gain from experience.
Text. So knowledge is textual.
Yeah. Wisdom we gain through experience.
Wisdom is through experience. Okay.
Yes. My opinion.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm Rashmi. Basically content, and wisdom is
Knowledge is content. Okay.
And wisdom is application. As in, you should know where to apply.
Okay.
So same, I was about to tell
Anybody
the same.
else?
Like wisdom is to know where you should apply the knowledge that you have gained. Like
Okay.
where
Wisdom is knowing where to apply what. Okay.
where to apply the knowledge that you've gained.
Sorry to jump in. Please open your mic only when you're sharing, because I think we can hear the entire household. Sorry.
Okay. Anything else? Wisdom and knowledge. What else?
Hari, I've got a controversial one.
Yes, very important. Nice. That's nice.
Okay. Knowledge we get from the book, wisdom we get from God.
Okay. Knowledge is
Many men will agree.
bookish. And wisdom is spiritual.
I got your point, spiritual.
It is not the spirituality that we talk about after sundown. It is not about people going spiritual in the evenings with colored water. It's not that spirituality.
We got the point. We can understand. We are all wise people to understand.
You're right, Malavan. It actually has brought fire into the earth. It's like a house on fire. Anyways, good.
I should have been careful. Yeah. We got some more feedback. Knowledge is mental understanding and wisdom is practical ability.
Okay, knowledge is mental understanding. Okay.
And wisdom is practical ability.
Practical ability. Yes.
Okay. And another one, knowledge is gathered from learning and education. Wisdom is the practical ability.
Okay. Practice. Okay, brilliant. Anything else?
Yes. Knowledge is knowing what to say. Wisdom is knowing when to say it.
Okay. What to say and when to say. Okay. Now,
One more thing. What I have, knowledge is discipline. I have read, knowledge is discipline. I always say to my students, knowledge is discipline.
Very nice. Brilliant. So now, this is where I must tell you, we all have studied in our schools that apparently tomatoes is a fruit.
Knowledge is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is putting it in a fruit salad.
Absolutely right. Knowing tomato is a fruit is knowledge. Not putting it into fruit salad is wisdom. Now,
because tomato is a fruit.
The important aspect is that we will give you a lot of knowledge, but this knowledge is useless tinsel unless it is applied. Unless you go, put it to use, try it, convince yourself that it works, and then come back to us and say, you know what, Hari, this works, this does not work. If it does not work, we identify the gaps, bridge the gaps, and then reapply it to get a fresh experience. That is the only way we can bring knowledge and wisdom closer to each other. That is the bridge of experience. Now, this bridge of experience is where we come in when we say that we are here to help you build on that knowledge. Now, let me ask all of you, You see this picture on your screen here. Does anybody relate to this?
Shaping, molding.
Anything else? I'll tell you a small story. I love to tell stories. I'm sorry. There was once a woodcutter. So the first day, he went to the woods and felled one tree. The next day, he went to the woods. In the same time that he worked, he could fell only 3/4 of a tree. The third day, he was able to fell only 2 to possibly half a tree. The fourth day, 1/4 of a tree. And the fifth day, he just couldn't even get 1/4. So what did he do? There was a very wise old man in the village. So he went to the wise old man and said, "Wise man, what is so different that I'm doing that on the first day I could cut down 5 trees, but yesterday, over 5 days, I have not been able to cut even 1 tree. What has changed over the last 5 days? Because over the last 5 days, I should have become more experienced. I should have become more strong. And more importantly, I should be having the technique to cut down that tree. So ideally, I should have been from 1 tree to 2 trees or maybe 3. So the wise man asked him, "Tell me, what do you use to cut down the tree?" So he said, "Here's my axe." So the wise man asked him, "When did you sharpen your axe last?" So the man said, "On the first day." So the wise man said, "This is where you're going wrong. Neither is your technique wrong, nor is your strength wrong, nor is your vision wrong. What's gone wrong is the axe which is not being sharpened." Ladies and gentlemen, I must tell you this. You will have this knowledge. You will have that being applied in your workplace. You will have a certain amount of experience. If your experience is good, you will continue doing it. But remember, during that continuation, you miss some basics somewhere. And that needs to be sharpened constantly. And that can happen only and only when you have one-on-one coachings, when you have conversations, when you repeatedly do something, when you actually engage with people. That's when your knowledge becomes wisdom, and then, as rightly put by somebody, it becomes spirituality. That's devotion. It's a separate level of conversation. That's another module in itself. But yes, when you are able to do it on a regular basis, as rightly put by someone, familiarity breeds contempt. Because you are familiar, you say, "Okay, I don't need this." And then you are struck by a stunning surprise which catches you off guard and you do not know what to do. To avoid that, you need to keep sharpening your basics. And that is where we will come in to help you to ensure that your basics are strong and you are able to apply these basics in the right place, get the desired experience, and then move on to become better in your presentation styles. That is what we are intending to have. Any thoughts before I go any further? Because now I'm opening the house for questions, because I want to hear from you. Any thoughts if you have? So before I go into opening the house for questions, any thoughts on this last bit?
Yeah, that's why we are all learning technologies.
Yes, and I must tell you,
we are all sharpening our knowledge in terms of technology, right? Because we do not know, since 2012, up to 2012, I did not know what is select even. After coming abroad, I started learning. So Zoom or whatever it is entirely new. Every day we are learning. Might be. Every day we are sharpening our knowledge, but not yet sharpened.
So let me place that cherry on the cake and say this with a lot of pride. You go through our entire program. Go through our entire program. You will have a certification which you can show and rave about. It would be a certification program.
Fine.
Malavan?
You've taken the headache of me selling the program, man.
Certification.
Fine.
Please share, everyone. Please share, or challenge Hari, please.
Challenge. The board is on. I'll start typing. Any thoughts?
It's difficult for me to sit and listen to everybody saying yes to Hari. It's time to challenge him.
Any thoughts? I'm opening the house for questions. So it's an open house. So I'm going to shift this slide. It's an open house. Y'all can throw in questions, all that you have in mind, if you're not asked me during the course. Any questions on the course that we have presented up to now?
Hari, I've got an interesting question.
What made you to choose we as the audience?
Good point. Ma'am, I'll come to that in a while from now. I'll just take that question which has come virtually, because you're talking to me. At least I can take that. I'll take the virtual question first. Yes, Malon.
Yep. Someone asked, okay, how do you engage with the audience when you're teaching them about trigonometry?
Okay. Very good. You know what? I'll tell you something. Do you know that? So trigonometry, I know to a very large extent has got trajectories and stuff like that. I would possibly pick up a video and show. I would have a question that's going out to them on the screen, and they have an answer which has got options, and they choose and give me the answers. So I know who's answered, who's not answered, what percentage is answered correctly. You can have 100 things to be done using technology. These are only 2 instances that I told you. I can share with you many other things that you could do. And trigonometry is a very small subject. Yes. Somebody asked me that. Ma'am, you were asking me something. There was somebody who said, what?
Me.
Yes, ma'am.
What made you to choose us, we teachers, as your audience?
Ma'am, that question should be directed to Malavan, not to me.
I'm deflecting it that Malavan. Malavan is a Tamil word. I just want to know. We will discuss about that later.
Yes. It's a Tamil name. It's a Tamil name. Yes. To answer the question, see, we didn't actually.
I'm from Chennai, so I was so curious.
Based on any. Okay, sure. Thank you. What I want to say is, we didn't choose the audience based on the gender or which part of the world or which profession they're from. We chose people based on an intrinsic need. Whoever who wants to improve themselves when they want to present online, or they want to engage with the audience online. Whoever who has that need can join. It so happened that when it was shared with some of the teachers within your school, it actually quickly spread to the other teachers who wanted to learn.
Fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions?
We all accept that we need to sharpen our wisdom, brain, whatever it is. But sometimes we do not know how and which way. Are we in the right way? Is that the right way? Or we are led by the right person? That is also there.
Ma'am, I can tell you I can give you one assurance. In terms of presentations, presentation online, I can tell you that we will help you with it. That much I can tell you. But anything else I would not tell you.
Fine. Okay. Hariharan.
Malavan, any other questions that you have on your side?
Yeah, hello.
Yes, ma'am.
One question from my side. Like how you're going to build or fill the gap between the technology and the student like audience with a physical. Now we are like, you know, on the technology basis. Whatever we try to present everything, but how you're going to fill that gap between the presenter and the audience to make them close?
Ma'am, we need to understand that there are two things to this. First things first is that gap will always remain. That gap is not going to get filled because as long as you do not see the person and you do not have the person in front of you, it will be a challenge. However, having said that, we know you are having a few certain experiences when you are delivering online. There will be something known as best practices that have to be applied, which are tried and tested. When you apply those best practices, you would notice that if you have 100 classes, you might find 60 of them going well, 30 of them giving you a few issues, 10 of them which are exceptionally bad. Because there, as I said, there is no silver bullet to it. There is no magic wand or a secret to have that perfect session. Even if you're doing a face-to-face session, you do have sessions which go bad. So that will always be there. However, what we will do, the skill that we give you, the skill that we sharpen for you, will only help you to have better sessions over a large number of sessions.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am. And what I said to the lady now is not only for teachers, it's for even adults when you're presenting in corporates.
I would like to know only we elders, particularly we teachers are always asked to do this, that. We have to understand the students. We have to understand their mood, everything. Why not you have session for students to understand teachers?
That's a good one, Hari. Go ahead.
Why should we always understand? We are also human beings, no? We have to understand our children, our mother, our grandparents, our students, but nobody will understand us, this generation. But yes, we are sitting here, 1 minute, Hariharan, we are sitting here to make these students cozy in the class in future. But who is going to make us cozy? I reached here by 3 o'clock. Immediately I sat for the class. And I was very fed up. I did not want to, but your interaction was very attractive, so I joined in between. I was sitting with others to other camera. Then it was very interesting. Then I joined you in that way. You are very successful. But who is going to understand our generation? Any campus do you have for you in future at least? Please do. Please make the student understand the pain we are undergoing.
Madam, I will roll out a program through Malavan wherein we can do some understanding skills for children. I will try and we'll try and run something on that.
Thanks,
Malavan, that's giving us some new business ideas and avenues to venture into.
You are very smart. Yeah, you are not. Apart from service, you are connecting business, marketing. Good marketing manager. Wow.
I think like in one of the talk shows, Oprah pointed out. It was between Oprah and another lady who comes on a TV show called Super Nanny. When she was asked, okay, who is actually the problem, the parents or the children? So she said, Jill, it's always the parents. It's not the children. So having said that, I would be the last person to get in between in a discussion where who is right and wrong between parents, teachers, and students.
No, definitely the attitude, students are getting the attitude only from the parents, definitely from the parents, nobody else, none.
Madam, that's definitely a little explosive to say because I may be having parents also in the audience who are watching this program.
Okay, Hari, I think we need to block her.
Okay, I mute myself, I mute, bye.
Hey, no, just kidding, don't be offended.
We're just joking, man. Good. So, so if you have no questions, that brings me to the end of the session from my side. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all for the full session, which we will begin soon. I'm sure Malavan will get in touch with you all on when we are launching it and when we are going live. Anything else that you would like to add, Malavan? Because I am done. I hope I have kept this session absolutely interactive and not put down anybody to sleep, because it is definitely a graveyard shift immediately after a nice meal for those who have eaten, and for those who are on iftar, of course, I know you're fasting even now. So over to you, my dear friend Malavan. Thank you so much. And I thank the audience as well very, very much.
Thanks a lot, Hari. It was really good. I didn't fall asleep, which was very important for me. Thanks a lot. To everyone, thank you very much for joining. And a lot of you shared your ideas, experiences, and few people were a little frustrated with what you're undergoing on a daily basis. We'll do the best we can to help you in every way possible. If you have any questions, please, let's say you forgot to ask the question, just send us an email, then I'll trouble Hari with the question and get you a response. And we have recorded this session, and everyone who's attending, who have registered, will get a copy of this. Please keep this, I would request sincerely, please keep this to yourself. Do not share with the ones who did not attend, then the value would be lost. Okay, please. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. Thanks, Hari.
Thank you so much. And
Hari,
see you
stay
all
online.
Yes, I'm online.